Hello everyone, I'm going to do a series of videos on a trip that my son and I took back in spring 2023. It was originally just for me to go on the Glacier Express, one of my bucketed items list, especially since I'm getting up there and traveling is more difficult. But also my brother and family requested I do this series of videos because they really wanted to see all the things that we did. And I sent them a few pics, but not much. So my son and I, we flew to Zurich through Chicago. Booked economy basic, so we just had our carry-ons, but we've done that before. It wasn't a big deal. And it was a pretty interesting flight. It was cramped. I did not enjoy economy basic. It's been decades since I've done that on a civilian aircraft, usually flew military. But our 1 week trip turned to 45 days because we just kept adding stuff. We started with the reservation with Glacier Express and ended with Militrax in the Netherlands, and a lot of stops in between. So it was pretty awesome trip actually. So I'm going to share it with you over a series of videos. Economy basic, I said, it wasn't fun, but the tickets were cheap, about $100 each. We got our Swiss travel pass and 8 days, and it was a pretty good deal. They were running a special for 2 extra free days. Make sure you book through SBB and not through third-party sites. Got our city ticket in Zurich, but we didn't use it because we were wiped out. So we just stayed in our hotel. And then we proceeded on to Grindelwald. And I love the train ride. I just fantasized being on the European trains. I love them. And in Switzerland, it was a dream. Went by Interlaken Lake, and I was going to read my Kindle on the trip, but I was too busy looking out the window. Didn't take a lot of pictures, but the one I did take in the village was of a helicopter doing some construction. That fascinated me. And we made our way to the hotel, and there's a scene in the parking lot by our hotel and the Eiger Mountain. And we stayed at the Eiger Lodge. Incredible, incredible place to stay. There's the view out of my room. My son was 2 doors down. We stayed in separate rooms the entire trip, so it was added a bit of price. But the room was not that bad. It was $80 a night. Off season in April, of course. High season, you're going to pay a lot more, a whole bunch more. Being perfect day, we headed to the terminal, which was right next door, and decided to go up to the glacier. And I was pretty excited. I love riding the gondolas, and this is my first one in Switzerland. And it was the best in the world, to tell you the truth. It was just amazing. Being low season, we had the gondola to ourselves most of the time on the trip, except for Lauterbrunn. I was a little packed. But the views were amazing. The skies were beautiful. It was a really, really, really nice trip up to the mountain top. And the scenes were just fantastic. And the gondola is really high-tech too. We changed stations a couple of times. And looking up on top of the mountain with the clear days, it was perfect heaven. And it wasn't that cold. It looks cold out there, but it wasn't. So once we got up there, we looked around the glacier, walked around a bit. My son went for a short hike while I went and checked out the little building there. And then we headed on back down. And so this was just day 2 of our trip, being that we're still pretty wiped out from the trip and traveling. There's our lodge. You can see it right there and right next to the terminal. And it just made it so easy to do. So once we got back down, we got into our rooms, and I was actually to check it out. And we went next door to an Italian restaurant, which was pretty good food. But this was an excellent room for $80 a night. You can't complain. It was cheaper than the small room that we had in Zurich. So it was pretty nice. So day 2, I decided to head to Lauterbrunnen and go up to Schlitthorn and Piz Gloria. My son wanted to go explore Grindelwald Village, so we split up. The weather was pretty bad, so he had no interest in going up top, but I wanted to go see the James Bond exhibit. So I took a bus over to Lauterbrunnen because one of the gondola connections wasn't running that day. So I took the freight gondola up to Piz Gloria, which was pretty cool, just fascinating to see all the logistics. Sure enough, as soon as I got even a little bit of elevation, the weather got pretty bad. It was zero visibility at some points, but that was okay. I was mainly, again, going to go see the James Bond exhibit, which was pretty cool. It's from on Her Majesty's Secret Service movie with Lazenby. Lazenby? Yes, Lazenby. So, interesting enough, he is probably the one James Bond actor that closely resembled the real James Bond in the books because he had a black belt martial arts, expert skier, served with the special forces in the Australian military, pretty sure. Looked at all the exhibits. There was Telly Savalas and, other famous actors that were there. Diane, I forgot her name already. Saw the scripts, a lot of movie props, and one outside. And as you can see, the weather was cold. In fact, it was very cold. My hands were freezing by the time I got done filming this, but it was still pretty cool standing where the actors were, seeing some of the exact scenes where they were. So I went inside and hit the restaurant. And the restaurant was pretty awesome. They had a buffet, but I ordered from the menu. And I read my Kindle for a couple hours, just relaxing, kind of secretly hoping the weather would get a little better. But it didn't. But it was nice. It was a nice, relaxing afternoon. So with that, I decided to go ahead and get ready to head back down. And again, the gondola was the freight gondola. And it's just fascinating watching them load stuff. And there's the famous waterfall in Lauterbrunnen. So the clouds did break up a little bit. And it started to get nicer once I got back to Grindelwald. Went over to the bistro or cafe right next to the hotel and read my Kindle for a while. And I got talking to a teacher. She taught primary in Zurich in Switzerland. And spent a couple hours there. Really, really nice time. And that pretty much wrapped up day 3 for me. I mean, day 2. Day 3 of the trip, day 2 in Grindelwald. So on our last day in Grindelwald, we went up to the top of Jungfrau. And it was another gorgeous day. I mean, the day before was yucky. So we had to switch off the gondola and take a train through the mountain. I wish I took pictures. We stopped, went and looked out. They cut out some holes in the side of the mountain. We could look out and see the scenery. It was pretty awesome. It was a little cloudy, but it really wasn't anything like the day before. It wasn't as clear as the first day, but it was still pretty nice. So once we got up, we took a little elevator up and we walked into this multimedia exhibit. And it was just really cool. Showed all the scenes, 3D, 360 view from top of the mountain, top of Europe. And then we ventured into the next exhibits, and one of them was the candy factory. Now, the candy factory was pretty awesome. It showed how they made candy throughout the decades or over the past 100 years. This is the highest candy factory in the world, apparently. And I did buy some lint bars for my daughter. Even though space was tight on the luggage, I did bring back a few bars, which was awesome. Then we kicked back and had a nice, very enjoyable lunch. Yeah, it was kind of a late lunch. And my son had some fish stain. I had some pork something. Yes. And it was very, very yummy. I kicked back while he went for a hike. He went into the ice cave, and I had one of the best hot chocolates I ever had in my life. He took these pictures for me because it was too much of a walk for me, but he went into this ice cave, and I would have probably gone had I known that this piano was there. And it was Ling Ling. Made our way back down after a while. He was gone for, almost 2 hours. And I just really enjoyed kicking back on the views. Made our way back down on the gondola. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. And then we got back to the cafe next to the hotel and got ready to go off to Zermatt for the next day.